were a police officer at the time in a position of authority over a juvenile. And that's a pretty serious place to be. And you violated the trust of not only the juvenile, the public also.
And then law enforcement, the way that it reflects on the rest of us, this family and all of their associates now look at people in a uniform as if, hey, they might be capable of something like that.
Well, that last one to speak was the sheriff of Louisiana, and he certainly is not happy to take the parole hearing of this former police officer locked up for, well, the juvenile. Given a 3-year sentence because, hey, it's just a child. But let's watch the parole hearing, and I'll unpack it at the end. But first, with the original news story.
Hello, friends. We start you off with some more on that breaking news we've been following all afternoon. As we first told you through the 9 News app, 2 Baton Rouge police officers are now on administrative leave and facing charges in Livingston Parish.
WFB's Karen Chawla is in the Alert Center with what she's learned today. Karen.
Greg, we are now learning that it is 2 separate incidents in Livingston Parish involving 2 different police officers getting arrested, one for indecent behavior with a juvenile and another for domestic stalking. 24-year-old Blake Bryant was the one arrested for indecent behavior with a female teenager. Livingston Parish deputies say that they were called out to a home late December for a relationship between the officer and teen. Officials say that the 2 met in August 2019 and then used social networking to communicate. They added they do have evidence to prove indecent behavior. Now, Bryant has since bonded out on a $25,000 bond.
But before you start, I want to make sure that you understand or that you are who you say you are. We have you listed as Blake Lamar Bryant. Your DLC number is 772809. Your date of birth is 1995. Your offense was indecent behavior with a juvenile. You were sentenced on October the 11th of 2022 to 3 years of DOC. State time. So anyway, is all of that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Brown, why don't you go ahead and tell us a few things about yourself, what you've been doing, and just your state of mind.
I've been, like you said, I've been incarcerated since 22. I've been in max security at CCR. I started off at Hunt. I came here in January of 23. While incarcerated, I had a newborn son. He's 16 months old now. So I overcame that, not being there for his birth. While I got out of CCR, I been enrolled in so many classes. I've been taking classes here at David Wade. I've been taking classes outside as far as American Bible Academy out of Colorado. I've been playing sports. I've been enrolled in work. I would do work in the kitchen, in the South Kitchen, serving trays and stuff for the inmates here. I go to church. I'm enrolled in Experiencing God classes with a little Bible study in the dorm. I try to stay focused in my mindset as far as preparing myself to come home and rehabilitate myself with my family, my loved ones, my son, and grow within my community, staying enrolled in church, going through counseling and stuff like that is necessary.
Okay, we appreciate that. Warden, would you introduce yourself and your staff, and then tell us a little bit about what the experience has been with him under your care?
Good morning, Mr. Prater. I'm Michelle Dozot, the warden. I'm Deputy Warden and Brenda Ackland.
Okay.
Assistant Warden Ryan Campbell.
All right.
So when Blake got here, he got here in May of 23, and he was originally assigned to our CCR protective custody unit due to employment history. But he then requested to be able to live in general population, and we evaluated that and allowed him to do that, and he made a really good transition. He's gone through programming. He's currently in phase 3 of the sex offender treatment program, and he is in living in balance. He has completed our reentry courses. He has very good work evaluations. I've had a chance to visit with his family, and I believe he does have some good family support and a plan set up for him. So as far as an inmate goes, his record speaks for himself, and he's given us no issues or concerns while he's been here at David Wade.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, now we'll ask for the, any kind of, supporters to be able to make a statement. And we have in support, we have Aaron Pedrami, that's probably wrong. And we have Brian Bennett. And so we have them, are they going to be zoomed in? So, let's first hear from Aaron. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Erin Pedrami, and I have been representing Blake Bryant since the outset of his arrest and through his legal proceedings. And I've grown very close with Blake and his family members, and I think it's important to note that, of course, the board has his disciplinary and educational records and performance records from DOC, but Blake is a young man. He's just turned 29 years old. He's a son, he's a father, he's a brother. He has a very strong and large network of family and friends in our local community. And I think most importantly, Blake has taken an active role as a participant in his own rehabilitative process over the last 5 years. Blake has transferred between, initially being housed at Hunt up to David Wade. And of course, during the time that he was in protective custody, he was limited. And so he was limited by protective custody, and he was unable to begin doing coursework and taking those types of classes that would really prepare him mentally for reentry into the community. And I think that as soon as he was given the opportunity to transition into general population, he really was proactive in his own coursework and his own efforts to rehabilitate. And the crime that Blake was charged with has such wide boundaries, if you will, or it's such a wide spectrum. And not only has Blake been impacted, most certainly the victim has been impacted, and both will be impacted for the rest of their lives. And I think that for a young man of Blake's age and character and status, he will feel this pain and remorse for the rest of his life. I think that he has changed over the years because he's matured. He has now a new son, a child in his life. Blake has had very strong mentors, very strong male mentors and figures in his life. His father was killed in a tragic drowning accident just before Blake was incarcerated. So Blake really has not had time on his side, but I think during this time, it's been beneficial to Blake for him to be able to reflect, to heal, to mourn, and to think about change, and to really think about his plan for the future. Myself and his family, have supported Blake. He's remained positive. He's suffered the pains of being incarcerated. Most certainly, as a former police officer, one never thinks that they'll be on the other side of the circumstance. And, this has been a life-changing experience for Blake. And I will continue to support him and hope that this will help him grow. And, again, such a painful and uncomfortable circumstance for a young man can only keep his foot and his sort of stance in the world walking forward and not looking back, rethinking his decisions, making better decisions and better judgment. He's most certainly positioned for reentry into the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I apologize, I didn't read on my list of characters or list of folks here. You're his attorney, and would you
Yes,
say
sir.
your last name for me, please, ma'am?
Pedrami.
Andrami, okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank
Uh,
you.
Trying to get that straight, and I didn't mean to make fun of your last name by not being able to say
That's
it. I
okay.
wasn't familiar with it. Okay, well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
those comments. Next
Thank
up,
you.
we're here in support, Brian Bennett. Mr. Bennett, you're the father of the inmate. Would you go ahead and limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll see what you got to say?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Can you hear me good?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good deal. Of course, my name is Brian Bennett, like you've already said. He's my stepson. I'd like to start with Blake has never been in any trouble prior to this, at all. Never been in anything. He, during this, he made a bad decision. This mistake has since lost everything because of it. He's lost everything. In my opinion, he didn't have any intent to hurt anybody. He just got comfortable with situations and forgot his boundaries as a law enforcement officer, is what I'm thinking. I know Blake wants to get back to society and restore his life, find a good job, be a good father, especially be a good father to his new child who's just over 1 year old. I know that's his goal. If he's ever faced with the same situation in the future, I know he'd never make the same mistake. And if you'd asked me if after this has changed his personality and changed everything about him, my response would be yes. He's definitely changed as an individual, and his outlook is completely different now. He's had to be locked away, and it's just not the same Blake that I see. He's humble now. He's God focused. He's father focused. He's very strong now. I believe he's able to be released and definitely function successfully now. I very much believe that. While he's been incarcerated, it's not only locked him away, it's locked the family away. So it's caused a whole bunch of division and separation that he kept together when he was here. And it's just not there. That piece of the puzzle is gone for the time being. Nobody's been the same. It's been immensely painful without him. And we've taken on a lot of responsibility as his parents that he needs to be here to be able to take care of. And we just need to be whole again. Is how it needs to be. But yes, he's definitely a different person now. I can tell you that firsthand. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And that's all the supporters that we have. I'm going to ask the executive director of the board, do we introduce the folks, even though they don't want to speak, that are present? Okay, all right. That being the case, the way that these hearings are conducted, so that you'll know, we have a lead person on the board for each particular case, and your lead is Chucky Tillis. And would you go ahead and tell us what you have, the questions you have?
Good morning, Mr. Blake. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
Good. What classes did you take while you were there? I heard you when you introduced yourself. Some of them, but I didn't. All of them.
I've taken substance abuse, anger management. I did some American Bible Academy outside in the free world. Reentry, sex offender phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm about to start phase 3, as Warden Dozak stated. I'm in Living in Balance, and I am currently enrolled in victim awareness that should start at this month.
Those are the ones the sexual abuse classes I didn't hear. That's what I wanted to find out. I have no more.
All right, Danny Barris, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, and I don't have any questions, so we'll go ahead and vote now, and you will be the lead vote.
At this time, Mr. Bryant, I think you need a little bit more time and some more classes in sexual abuse. And my vote will be to deny.
Okay, and Danny?
Well, I can appreciate all the stuff that you did in jail, the fact that you're a first offender with a pretty good record, no disciplinary violations, but problem is you were a police officer at the time in a position of authority over a juvenile. And that's a pretty serious place to be. And you violated the trust of not only the juvenile, the public also. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to also vote to deny your parole, but there is a bright side to it. Your good time date is right around the corner in October of next year, and you won't have to come back before us for another hearing. You automatically be released then. And like Mr. said, I suggest you just take this time to take as many classes as you can and get yourself in the best place you can be for your family and your child when you get out. But for those reasons, I'll have to vote to deny.
Sure.
Okay, and I concur with my co-members here. And I also vote to deny for the reason being law enforcement has taken a huge hit on this, not including the victim. The victim is, and I hadn't heard a lot about the victim of this thing, but the victim and their family have gone through hell. And then law enforcement, the way that it reflects on the rest of us, this family and all of their associates now look at people in a uniform as if, hey, they might be capable of something like that. So for that reason, without a lecture, I wish you luck. I appreciate what you've done in there. I appreciate your dad, especially because many of us are dads, and I know that he's gone through hell too, and you. So anyway, but at this particular time, I concur with my friends, and your parole is denied. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In this.
3-year sentence for a police officer that does this crime against a juvenile. I mean, you just can't make it up. It's hard to understand, right? I mean, we get pissed off when you hear that someone does this to a juvenile and it's, anyone. But when it's a police officer, when it's someone who is representing the force, as the sheriff said, when you totally break the trust in a system, I mean, can you imagine the judge and the DA sitting there saying, let's see what we can do. Let's see what message we can send the community. Yeah, why don't we do a plea deal for 3 years? Because, I mean, why not? It's just a child. I mean, it's just bizarre. You would think that they'd have some pride, that they would say, like, no, this is the case we're going to go to trial for. This is the case that we are going to issue the press releases to the world that we protect our community. But no, they just wanted to sweep it under the rug. It's actually quite fascinating, but you Google it. I mean, Richard, this is it. There are no articles. This is it. The arrest news article. That's it. Nothing leading up to it, nothing after. They wanted it gone. Now, he was only just on the police force, which does, I guess, make a little bit, not like he was a veteran. I think he had just passed the police academy. He's a rookie. And we don't have details because, again, this is it. But I'll read through what they have. But first, I just want to still do some more venting. The sheriff is not used to. Miss Renazzo was supposed to be here today, and she's the one who leads the show and gets things in order. And the whole day it was, because the sheriff was trying to do it, things were not running as smoothly. Tillis, it was his hearing, so he's the one that's supposed to ask the questions after the procedural things, and it's Tillis. So, you're not getting that. And I was actually upset when the only question he asked, and I feel like he felt he was put on the spot by the sheriff. So it's Tillis's case. Do you have anything you want to ask? He says, what programs have you taken? And they had already mentioned it twice, I believe. The number of programs and which ones they were. So not only is he not doing his research before the case, which you'd expect someone to do in general, but especially when it's was their first case of the day. It's assigned to you, and it's a police officer. And it's the things that we take for granted, at least I did, when you would have Mr. Roche that would study everything for a week before every case that he had, and he would know every detail down to if they spelt their name wrong in the 3rd grade once. I mean, versus this kind of new board that we have, which it has its ups and downs. He's getting out anyways. He's getting out anyways. And that's just crazy. 3 years. Then let's go to his attorney. I don't know how, and even it's a more insult to injury, how the DA didn't want to take this to trial, because this attorney's been representing him since day one. How do you have an attorney, a trial attorney, I'm assuming she's that says, I counted 33 times in a 3-minute statement. 33 ums or uhs. How many did you count? Put it in the comment section. Maybe I miscounted. And that's just a side thing. And normally I wouldn't want to, bring it up. People have bad habits. People say, it's not nice to, go to that level. But she was, what I don't like our attorneys that the survivor, the victim, the child, she didn't mention, no one mentioned it, that child. It was as if the victim didn't exist. The only person that mentioned was the sheriff at the end, and for a moment. And the words that they were saying is, whatever, wrote it down. Also, the stepfather, they said the same crazy things. Life-changing event for both of them. That's what they said. Are you, what? Oh, this has been really hard on him. Oh, it's been, this happened to him. It was like he was the victim. Wow, it was like, what? Like, what am I listening to? You're not the victim. You're the man who literally betrayed society. You betrayed. There's so many victims in this case, not just your main victim who had to, you can't even think she has to go through high school with this hanging over her head and everything else that went down. And it's like not even brought up. And the DA, of course, doesn't show. You would think, again, the DA would show up to show up to this. The only statement they had was from when he was caught of the DA. I feel like I'm just venting. We're going to see another hearing after this. Maybe a couple more. But what am I supposed to do? I imagine many of us are feeling this way, because it's just insanity. So he was 24 years old at the time. This happened in 2019. He was a recent graduate of Baton Rouge Police Department Academy. He was arrested on charge of indecent behavior with a juvenile. He has since been released. And then he has a child who like, oh yeah, let me go get connected to this former police officer, pedo, like that really makes, let me go have a child with you. Livingston Parish Sheriff's deputies arrested Brian after they were called out to Livingston, Louisiana, December 27, 2019, in reference to an incident involving juvenile. We were notified about a suspected inappropriate relationship between a female and a 24-year-old male. Following an investigation, it was determined the two met in August of 2019. Since that time, the two used social networking app to communicate. At this time, we have evidence to prove indecent behavior. Our investigation continues. And this was the other police officer. I mean, could you imagine what this says about this person, that he throws everything away? Everything. He's dangerous, right? If anything, yeah, what am I saying? At least I guess all we can say is lucky he was caught really quickly. Lucky for that. Because these morons. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, it's just crazy. Anyways, the worst part really is that somehow he got 3 years. It's a mockery. It's a mockery of justice. And with that, we'll move to the next hearing.